She's slipping away, doctors fear relapse as Tan Songyun suffers new attack. The halls of the hospital were deathly silent until the sirens shattered the stillness. Tan Songyun's name echoed through the emergency floor again. This time, it wasn't just a routine checkup. It wasn't just another follow-up. This time, doctors were sprinting. Nurses were yelling for clearance. And Shu Kai, who had just stepped out to answer a phone call, came back to the sound of code blue. She was slipping away. 1:32 a.m. intensive care unit. Tan Songyun's body trembled on the bed, monitors blaring in a chaotic chorus. Oxygen levels were dropping. Her blood pressure was erratic. Cold sweats coated her skin. This wasn't just panic. This wasn't exhaustion. It was something deeper. Something darker. Doctors whispered relapse under their breath. Hold her hand, the nurse told Shu Kai, who stood frozen for a moment. His fingers twitched. Then he moved forward like a man possessed. He didn't say a word. He just grabbed her hand and kissed it, pressing it to his forehead as her body convulsed. I'm here, he whispered, voice cracked. I'm right here, Songyun. Flashback, the crash, the ICU, the secrets. It had barely been a few weeks since the crash. A quiet ride home from a late-night shoot had ended in headlights, shattered glass, and sirens. Tan Songyun had taken the brunt of the impact, her body flung against the dashboard, the seatbelt cutting deep into her ribs. The hospital stay that followed was kept under wraps. Her team said it was fatigue. That wasn't true. Her lungs had collapsed twice. Her heartbeat had flat-lined for 17 seconds. And Shu Kai had watched it all happen, standing in that sterile room, praying to gods he didn't believe in. But now, she was back. And she was worse. 2:03 a.m. The attack intensifies. Tan Songyun's voice broke through the oxygen mask, just one word, barely audible. Shu. He leaned in. Yes. I'm here. I can't. You can, he said, forcing back tears. You will. She shook her head slowly, violently even. Her body was fighting itself. Her breath grew shallow. The machines screamed louder. Then her eyes rolled back. Doctors rush in. Again. She's going into cardiac distress, someone yelled. Get the crash cart. Shu Kai was pulled back, physically yanked by a nurse who couldn't hide the pity on her face. For the second time in 1 month, Shu Kai watched through a glass window as the woman he loved was dragged back from the edge. He slammed his fist against the glass, tears falling without shame. She promised me, he whispered, voice shaking. She said she was getting better. The pressure of silence. The media knew nothing. Not yet. Her management had kept every detail hidden. Even Shu Kai's presence at the hospital was quietly covered by tinted vans and hidden stairwells. But secrets don't stay buried forever. Especially not when they're bleeding in ICU. 2:40 a.m. Stabilized. Barely. After 32 minutes of chaos, the room finally calmed. The machines slowed their screaming. The lights dimmed back to their usual dull blue. But Tan Songyun was unconscious. She hadn't opened her eyes since she lost them. Doctors called it stable but critical. Nurses exchanged looks of concern that screamed something worse. Shu Kai sat by her side. He hadn't left since they let him back in. He hadn't blinked in minutes. She doesn't want to fight anymore, he said suddenly. The nurse beside him turned. What? She told me last week, he murmured. That she felt tired. That it would be easier to just stop. Just sleep. She didn't mean it. She did, he whispered. She really did. Private footage leaked. The chapel confession. Earlier that week, a short clip had circulated online, a fan-captured moment of Tan Songyun kneeling inside the hospital chapel. She was alone, head bowed, lips moving. No security. No stylist. No filters. Just a broken girl in a white hoodie. If he loves me, she had said, voice shaking. He'll come back. Most assumed she meant Shu Kai. The timelines matched. The emotion was raw. The fanbase went wild. But what they didn't know, what Shu Kai later confirmed to his assistant in a moment of pure honesty, was that he had been standing behind the chapel curtain. Listening. Crying. Too afraid to face her. Now, a fight against time. Doctors are now running new tests. Her brain scans show signs of swelling, an unexpected complication from her earlier injury. Her pulse is inconsistent. Her oxygen intake is limited. The word coma has come up. Quietly. Carefully. But it's there. And Shu Kai hears it. Every syllable. "I can't do this again," he said to her doctor. "You don't understand. I almost lost her once. I can't stand outside that room again while she dies." "She's not dying," the doctor replied. Shu Kai just looked away. The fanbase explodes. The #PrayForTanSongyun hashtag trended within minutes once a nurse leaked the news of her ICU admission. Photos of Shu Kai pacing outside the room, hair disheveled, eyes swollen, sent fans into a frenzy. One post read, "If anything happens to her, I swear I'm done. She deserves peace. Not this. Not again." Another. "Why are the ones who love the hardest always the ones that suffer most? Shu Kai hasn't left that hallway in hours. Just give them a happy ending. And perhaps the most heartbreaking. If she doesn't wake up, tell Shu Kai he did enough. He really, really did." 3:17 a.m. A whisper in the dark. Something changed. Shu Kai felt it before he saw it. A flicker. A twitch. Her hand, slightly curling. He stood up instantly. "Songyun." The nurse ran in, checking monitors. The readings began to stabilize. "She's responding." Shu Kai fell to his knees. "Oh my God." Then, a whisper. Faint. Barely a breath. "I heard you." He stood again, eyes wide. "Songyun." She didn't open her eyes. But her lips moved again. "You stayed." "I'm not leaving," he choked out. "Never again." "But it's not over." Doctors warned it was too soon to celebrate. Her relapse had triggered complications. There were still risks of internal bleeding, of brain trauma, of memory loss, of seizures. And the emotional trauma? That was a whole other battle. But Shu Kai made a promise right there at her bedside. "I will carry you through this," he whispered. "You saved me once," she whispered back, her voice nearly gone. "Maybe this time, I'll save you." A world watches. A heartbeat holds. She's still in ICU. Still sedated. Still fragile. But her heart is beating. And Shu Kai is holding her hand. For now, that's enough. But for how long? And what happens next when she remembers everything she tried so hard to forget? The pale light from the ICU monitor blinked like a heartbeat trapped in time. Every beep echoed through Shu Kai's chest like a ticking bomb he couldn't disarm. Tan Songyun lay still, her face ghost white, her hands trembling slightly under the hospital blankets. Just hours ago, they thought they were past the worst. But when the tremors returned, when her breath grew shallow and her heart rate spiked, everything collapsed again. Doctors had warned them, trauma wasn't linear. Healing never promised stability. And yet, no one expected this. Shu Kai hadn't left the hospital since the night of her last panic attack. He'd watched her drift in and out of lucidity, whispering broken sentences that didn't make sense. He heard her mutter names, plead with people who weren't in the room. And worst of all, he heard her apologize to him, to herself, to someone lost in the haze of her memory. "Don't go back there," he whispered now, gripping her hand tightly. "Please. You promised me. You said you were coming back." A nurse passed quietly, adjusting her then paused. "Her vitals are unstable again," she murmured, avoiding his eyes. Shu Kai nodded tightly, eyes still fixed on Songyun's face. What they didn't know, what even the doctors had failed to realize, was how deep her mind had sunk. Inside her, a war was being fought. Inside her mind, the flashback she couldn't escape. It wasn't a dream. Not anymore. In her unconscious haze, Tan Songyun was back inside the car. The night of the accident replayed in slow motion. The rain hit the windshield like 1,000 tiny bullets. The road had been slick, empty, and cold. She remembered Shu Kai's voice on the phone, asking where she was, worry thick in his tone. She remembered glancing at her GPS. Just 3 minutes from the studio. Then, brakes. Screeching. A blinding set of headlights. Metal tearing through metal. Her body slamming forward. And the sound. That sound. She still heard it. And now, trapped in this memory, she saw herself, blood dripping from her forehead, trying to scream but choking on air. She saw Shu Kai arrive, soaked in rain, pounding on the ambulance doors. Screaming her name. Begging her not to die. It wasn't just trauma. It was guilt. And it was dragging her under. Back in reality, she's not responding. Her pressure just dropped again. The room exploded into chaos. Doctors rushed in, nurses calling out vital stats, machines shrieking alarms. Shu Kai was pushed gently but firmly toward the door, but he didn't budge. She's reliving it, he cried, eyes wild. She's trapped in the crash. You have to talk to her. She thinks she's still there. But no one heard him. No one understood. In that moment, Shu Kai felt more helpless than ever. Not even during the first hospital stay, not even when she first fell into ICU, had he felt this cold, this numb, this terrified. And that's when he made a decision. Let me in. 15 minutes later, Shu Kai did what no doctor advised. He entered the ICU again, despite the objections. And this time, he didn't stand at her side. He climbed onto the bed. He took her hand. Pressed his forehead to hers. Closed his eyes. And he began to speak. If you can hear me, come back. You said you weren't ready to die, he whispered. Then fight. If you can hear me, Songyun, come back. I'm here. You're not in that car anymore. You're safe. You're in my arms now. There's no rain, no crash, no screaming. Just me. Just you. He broke off, his voice trembling. I should have been there sooner. I should have protected you. But I'm here now. And I'm not going anywhere. Still no movement. He gripped her tighter. You once told me that if I ever walked away, you wouldn't chase me. That you'd wait. Because that's the kind of person you are. Strong. Quiet. Always believing. So now I'm the one waiting. Waiting for you. The nurse watching from the glass window turned away, wiping her eyes. Inside, the monitor beeped steadier. Slower. Then her lips moved. Barely. But it was enough. Shu Kai. His heart stopped. He leaned in, trembling. I'm here. Her eyes fluttered open. Tears fell from both of them at once. Her fingers twitched in his hand. I saw it again, she whispered, voice raw. I know, he replied. But it's over. You're not alone anymore. And as she stared at him, her anchor in the storm, her breathing slowed. Her mind pulled away from the wreckage. And the world outside that hospital room finally exhaled. Moments later, a quiet confession. They moved her out of ICU that night. Shu Kai sat beside her, never letting go. I keep thinking, she said quietly. What if I don't get better? What if I never stop hearing it? You will, he said. We'll work through it. Together. She turned to him. I don't know how to love you like this, broken. Scared. He smiled through glassy eyes. Then love me the way you've always done. Silently. Fiercely. Like you're fighting to stay alive just to be near me.